Tracy Peterson, and I am from Blaine, Minnesota, and I just want to tell you about the Shalom Healing. So in my Shalom Healing session, the most amazing thing happened because when I went to have my session, I had some other things on my list that I was really focused on and wanted to have spiritual healing or advancement. I wanted to be able to experience more intimacy with the Lord and be able to, I had some other expectations, and what I didn't know was that God had something else in mind. He had freedom for me in an area that I didn't even know how extremely bound I was. So 6 weeks ago, I came from Minnesota to Texas, and I attended my very first Selah Oasis retreat. And at that point, I had been struggling and really been afflicted with migraine headaches from the time that I was 5 years old. And there were seasons in my life that weren't so bad, but the season most recent, coming right up to the Selah Oasis retreat, I had been experiencing excruciating, mind-bending, life-threatening migraine headaches, to the point where some weeks I was having a headache 3 or 4 days out of the 7, and with very little break in between. These migraine headaches that I was having, I didn't actually even think about having myself get rid of them. I felt like they were just part of my life. I didn't feel like they were something I could ever get rid of. And in fact, I didn't even mention it, but in the process of my Shalom session, as they were asking me to walk through, my family and the story of what were my parents like and what were my grandparents like, I began to tell a story of my grandpa, whom I never met because he took his own life when my father was 9 years old, because he had these severe migraine headaches. And the pain was so bad, and there was no medication that would help him. He ended up shooting himself in the head because of the pain of these migraine headaches. And because of that, my entire family has lived, as long as I can remember, with fear because of my migraine headaches, worried about the fact that I might do something. And honestly, when I get a migraine headache, it really is like that. You don't want to live anymore. But yet, I had been convinced of this lie, that it was just part of my everyday life. And in my Shalom Healing session, there was a correlation, or a pattern, if you will, that was revealed to us through the Holy Spirit, that migraine headaches were actually a symptom of the spirit of control. Now, it seems like it could make sense, but listen to this, because it gets even better. What we found out was that my bloodline, because my family is Czechoslovakian, my maiden name is Andracek, and as I said that maiden name, she said, "Is it Czechoslovakian?" I said, "Yes." And she began to show me through a series of patterns that Czechoslovakia is a communist country, or was, up until a very short period of time. And communism is operating entirely in the spirit of control. And when you do not operate, or when you won't agree with the spirit of control, what manifests is a migraine headache. And in the spiritual healing realm, that would be the first symptom of a spirit of control. So in my Shalom Healing session, we dealt with that spirit of control all the way through my generational bloodline, back to as far as we could. And really, from the place of communism, and that spirit of control was broken in my life, and I no longer have to be subject to it. There is no longer a stronghold in my life from that spirit of control, which means that there's no more manifestation of migraine headaches when I agree with control or when I disagree with control. And so what was happening was, the more I was growing in my relationship with Jesus, the angrier the spirit of control was getting. And so my headaches were getting worse. And I haven't had a headache in over 6 weeks since my Shalom appointment, not one headache, because I'm no longer under stronghold, the spirit of control. So for those of you who don't know why you're having symptoms, maybe they're fibromyalgia, maybe they're arthritis, I don't know. All I know is that there's a spiritual connection to most things that we experience in the natural. And if you don't want to be under stronghold, if you don't want to be underneath those afflictions anymore, then your best bet is to get yourself scheduled for a Shalom Healing appointment, because you can live free too.